Hi everybody, welcome to my weekly job prep class. Today we're going to talk about a very important interview skill, how to talk about your weaknesses. I'm Nancy, I teach employment skills and help adults with developmental disabilities find jobs out in the community. Interviewing is the hardest part. It takes a lot of practice. The more you practice away from interviews, the better you're going to feel and the more comfortable you're going to feel in the job interviews, and you won't be so nervous. Thanks for joining me here in this video today. We're going to learn different ways the manager could ask this question. They don't all ask, what is your greatest weakness? They're asked it a lot of different ways. How to answer the question and examples of good and bad answers to this question. There's many different ways a manager could ask the weakness question. Every manager asks differently. You might not recognize it when you're asked. I'll give you some keywords. You can use the same answer no matter how they ask. And if you are in a situation where you have a lot of different job interviews, you can use the same answer in all the different job interviews. Businesses don't call each other. So here's some examples of how the hiring manager, the person doing your interview, might ask you this question. I'm just going to read these. First one, tell me your greatest weakness. Second one, what is something you feel you need to work on? Okay. Number three, how self-aware are you and what weaknesses are you aware of? Number four, tell me about an opportunity for improvement at your last job. Opportunity for improvement is your clue right there. Number five, this is a weird one I've never heard. Tell me about your blind spots. That would mean something that you need to pay more attention to, that sometimes you don't recognize. Number six, what is your biggest weakness, your greatest weakness? Number seven, what would your current boss say is your weakest area? Now, you don't have to say something that your boss has actually said to you, but that's how they could ask that question. Number eight, tell me about a challenge you're facing at work. Challenge. Number nine, what would your current manager say are your biggest areas of improvement? Okay. And number 10, what are your weakest areas? So it can come out in a lot of different ways, and it's important to recognize it. They also might combine the question with your strengths. They might say, what are your strengths and weaknesses? So be sure to answer both those questions. You don't want to focus on the weakness in that question. Don't waste the chance to say something good about yourself if they ask you about your strengths. Might start with your strengths, and maybe they'll go on to the next question. You won't have to say anything about weaknesses, but sometimes they combine the two. Here's some examples of that. What would your coworkers say that you're good at, and what would they say you need to work on? Again, it's two parts, okay? And number two, what can you do easily and what takes you more time to learn? What kind of things do you pick up quick? What kind of things do you take a little more time to learn? That's another way they might ask that question. Number three, what would you say are your strengths, and what would you say you still need to work on? So again, be sure to answer both. Start with the strengths, right? Don't miss out on the opportunity to say something good about yourself. The keywords in all of those examples, opportunity for improvement. If you hear that, that means your weakness answer. The thing, whatever you've chosen to talk about a weakness in your job interviews. Challenge is another one. If you hear the word challenge, weakness, obviously. If you hear talking about weaknesses, they want to hear a story about your weaknesses, which we're going to talk about how to answer that in just a minute. Overcoming obstacles is another way they might put it. So opportunity for improvement, challenges, weaknesses, things you need to work on, overcoming obstacles. If you hear these keywords, they're asking you to talk about a weakness, okay? How to answer the weakness question. This is stuff for all the big money. The manager wants to see that you are aware of your flaws. We all have them. They want to know what you're doing about it. They want to know that you're self-aware, that you're aware of your strengths and weaknesses, that you know yourself well enough to say, here's what I need to work on. Give them an answer that shows you're self-aware and honest about it. They want to know how you are working on your weaknesses to improve yourself. So you want to tell them something that you're already working on. Be honest. If you say you have no weaknesses, they will not believe you. They'll think you're just being dishonest or that you're not self-aware. You're not aware of your own weaknesses. Don't lie. Be prepared with a real answer. Don't say that you don't have any weaknesses. That's just not true. And we all do. We all have weaknesses. We all have things that we can work on or that we are currently working on. And that's really what they want to hear about. Choose a real weakness of yours. Don't use someone else's weakness. Don't blame other people for your weaknesses. Like, well, I would be fine except for all of those other people that aren't doing their job right. This is about you. Okay, this is about things that you're working on. Give them an example of a simple weakness that you're already working on. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be something that requires a therapist. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Just give them something simple that you're already working on. Tell them how much you've improved and how you're still improving. Okay? It doesn't have to be something that you've totally solved, but it's best if it's something that you're in the process of working on. You've already recognized this weakness and you're already making progress in fixing it and taking care of the problem so that it's no longer going to be a weakness for your new employer. They want to hear what you're doing to overcome the weakness. Say this with me. They want to hear what you are doing to overcome the weakness. What are you doing to fix the problem? In process right now. I had this problem. I'm working on it. I'm still working on it. I'm not perfect, but I'm working on it. I'm getting there. That's what they want to hear. Here's some examples of things you can do to improve your weakness. These actions, when you talk about them in a job interview, are proof for them that you're working on the problem. You can say that you took a class or a training in a skill that you need for your future goals. You can say that you worked with a mentor or a helper to achieve new goals or learn new skills. You can say that you did volunteer work. Again, don't lie, but volunteer work is a way that you can overcome an obstacle. Like, for example, I used to be afraid of dogs until I volunteered to start walking them or working with them at a rescue, right? And now I'm not afraid of dogs anymore. Next one, join professional groups or industry associations. This could be like Toastmasters for if you want to learn more about public speaking, or a sports team to build teamwork skills and responsibility, things like that. If you happen to join a club that is appropriate, you could talk about that. Developed better organizing habits by making calendars, lists, to-do lists. How did you overcome some time management problems? You can talk about that. Specific things that you did to solve the problem. Learned a new software or a new phone app to fix the problem. Used to be late all the time, and now I set my phone for an alarm every hour or every 2 hours, so I never come back. I always go to break on time. I'm always to work on time because I use this app now. So there's a lot of different things you can say, but when you're talking about what you've done to improve yourself and overcome the weakness, be very specific about what you've done. It can't just be like, oh, I never do that anymore. Well, how are you not doing that anymore? What did you do different to fix the problem? Okay, they want to hear how you are honest about yourself, that you're always looking to improve yourself, and what you're doing to, in this specific weakness, what are you doing to fix it? Choose a weakness that isn't really weak. It doesn't have to be something complicated. Be honest, but don't choose a weakness that's not fixable. If you have any ideas, email me and I will help you tell you whether or not the weakness that you've chosen for your job interview is fixable and what you can do to fix it and how you should talk about it. Choose something that you're already working to fix. Be specific with the steps of the problem. Be specific about the steps you've taken to solve this weakness and get better. Tell them how far you've come and how you're still working on it. Like, I haven't been late in a year, right? If you're able to say dates like that and be very specific about, I used to be late to work all the time. I got a new phone app that wakes me up every morning, and I set a new breakfast routine, and I haven't been late in a year. That's a great answer. Do not choose a weakness that will eliminate you from being considered for the job. Again, know the job that you're looking for. If it's something on the job description, don't list that as one of your weaknesses, okay? Do not talk about issues that would be cause for termination. Anything illegal or immoral or illegal. Anything that might cause you to be fired, don't use that as your weakness. Remember, the interviewer doesn't really care about what you answer. It's more about how you answer. That you talk about a weakness, that you're self-aware, and then what you're doing to improve yourself and fix that problem that you're already in the process of fixing. Here's some examples. First one, do not choose a weakness that will immediately eliminate you from being considered from the job. If you're applying to be a cashier, don't talk about how you have trouble counting money, okay? Even if you're getting better at it, that's not what they want to hear when they're hiring a cashier. If you don't have your driver's license, that's a weakness that's going to keep you off of pizza driving or any kind of truck driving, delivery services, things like that. If you're about to get your driver's license, that might be different, but you could talk about the steps you've taken to get your driver's license. The next one, do not talk about issues that would be cause for termination. Even if it's true, even if you're working on it, don't talk about violence, drugs, gambling, mental illnesses, especially if they have violent tendencies, alcohol, anger, theft, not getting along with your boss or coworkers. Even if you're working to fix those problems, don't bring those up in your interview, okay? Bravo to you for working on those problems, but pick something more simple for your job interview, okay? Third one, choose something that you're already working to fix. I know I've said this over and over again during this video because that's how important it is. Be specific, the steps you're taking to fix the problem. It's a little problem, so maybe there's not complicated steps to fix it, but what are those steps? What are you doing differently that's making it to where it's not going to be a problem anymore? Here's one that I use all the time. I used to be late for work a few times a month. I learned to use 2 alarms, and I put my alarm clocks across the room, and I have not been late since. Okay? What steps are you taking to fix the problem? Okay? Be specific. Here's another one. Tell them how far you've come and that you're still working on the problem. That makes it a weakness, okay? Here's an example. I used to have trouble managing my time. I started making to-do lists every day, and I'm getting more done at home and at work. I found extra time to spend playing with my dogs. Yay, right? So you've really turned that around from a weakness, your time management weakness, into here's the steps I take. I made to-do lists every day. And here's the results of that, kind of like a star format. The situation, what you did about it, the results. The results were you had extra time to play with your dogs or play video games or whatever, but you found extra time in your life to do things that you really enjoy because you're making to-do lists to get all the chores done in your life work, housework, whatever. You're making to-do lists, you're managing your time, and you're getting more time to do fun things. The next one, be honest, but don't choose a weakness that is not fixable. Physical limitations are not fixable. Living too far away from your job. Pick something that not only can you fix, but that you're already fixing. Or maybe you already fixed it, but you're not perfect, so you're still working on it. Okay? Already working on it. Okay? Self-aware, you're aware of the problem. Here's the steps you're taking to fix it, and here's some results. Right? Again, choose something that you're already working to fix. Be specific with the steps you're taking. Here's an example. I used to have trouble speaking to strangers. I practiced in front of the mirror, and that helped. And now I make eye contact and say hi to everyone while I'm shopping. Just to total strangers for no reason. I just walk around and smile at everybody at Walmart. And that's helped me overcome my fear of speaking to strangers. Here's some examples of weaknesses that are really not that weak, especially if you're actively working on it. Presenting ideas to the public, to a group, public speaking, speaking too honestly. Sometimes people's feelings can get hurt when we speak too honestly. Spontaneity, it's a long word that means you don't like to be surprised or unprepared. Multitasking has lost favor, actually. It used to be really a popular thing that people got to be able to multitask all the time, but a lot of employers now would rather that you focus on one job at a time. But it also means switching from job to job, like you're working on some paperwork and you have to answer the phones, being able to answer the phone and deal with that distraction of answering the phone while you're still getting your paperwork done. So multitasking can work either way, and that's what's good about it as far as it being a weakness. Focusing too much on details, it's a situation where you focus so hard on details that you might not ever know when you're done, and you might take way too long to get a job done because you didn't stop when it was done, but you're still nitpicking at every little detail. Hard time letting go of a project is another example of focusing on details. Organizational skills, if you talk about that, talk about what you're doing to fix that. What kind of apps, what kind of tools are you using to help organize your life or your job? Sitting still, that would be a great example of a weakness if you're going into a job where you don't ever get to sit, right? There's plenty of jobs out there where you're on your feet all the time, and if you don't like sitting still, that would be a weakness for you. Writing skills takes practice, but you're improving on it. Over talking, which could be a lot of different things, like over socialization, chatting too much with my friends. Be sure that you talk about how you're working on that. Okay, specifically, when I find myself in a situation where I'm talking to my coworkers for a few minutes, I stop and I excuse myself and I get back to work, right? Foreign language, if you're wanting to learn, if you consider it to be a weakness that you can't speak Spanish, but you're taking classes, that would be a weakness. Lacking confidence can be a weakness, that you like to be told that you're doing your job right a lot. Trouble asking for help. If you need a lot of assistance, but you won't ask for it, that could be a weakness. Teamwork, you'd rather work by yourself than in a team. How are you working on that? If you're going to use teamwork as a weakness, be sure you talk about what you're doing differently to work on that problem. Time management, go back and watch my video about time management, make to-do lists, things like that. Sharing responsibility, like this could go along with teamwork as well. Like sometimes you'd rather just do the job yourself. Patience is a virtue. And if you don't have patience, that's definitely a weakness. What are you doing to work on that? Focusing on jobs, how to keep from getting distracted. What are you doing differently to improve your focus? Shyness, that's one that we all have sometimes, especially in job interviews. Shyness can be a weakness, and the way to work on that is to actively speak to other people, like saying hi to everybody at Walmart. Trouble saying no, they take on too many projects, and learning to say no, that's definitely a weakness, but it's not that weak. And then the last one, get impatient when projects run beyond the deadline. That one's not really weak either. Getting impatient is weak, but it when you're impatient because something's past due, that shows that you have a responsibility towards getting work done by the deadline. So it could be a good thing. And that's what you want to see, is stuff that's a good thing, right? You notice that the best answers that I've had here start with "I used to." Okay, so this is a problem you're already taking steps to solve. Talk about your weaknesses in past tense. Used to be a problem. It's not a problem anymore, but it used to be. I did this and this and this, and the problem is taken care of. Be prepared. All interviews are different. Sometimes you may not even be asked about your weaknesses. I noticed that the bigger the corporation, your department stores, big chain stores, big organized companies, they're more likely to ask about weaknesses, but sometimes you won't. But you want to be prepared for the weakness question just in case. I mean, it's even good in life to choose a weakness that you're having a problem with and work to fix it. It's not just good, for example, in a job interview, but it's good for you. It's good that you're fixing these problems. You can use your planned weakness answer in every interview as you look for work. You don't have to have a different one for every interview. You can use the same one. With practice, you can answer the tough questions in your interview and you can get the job. It just takes practice. Thank you so much for watching. Some credits, and there's lots of websites to help you with this problem. If you have any more questions about it, ask me in the comments, or I will send you the links to different websites. Thank you so much for your time and attention.